Good morning. This is Talk Back to Television, and I'm here with Joe Marino from Ribeye. He's going to tell us what ribeye means and what ribeye does. Joe, how are you?
I'm doing well, Rick. How are you? Thanks for having me.
I'm doing fine. Okay. And you are speaking to us from where?
Long Island, New York.
There you go. Okay. And I assume that it's not that winter has departed, but it's no longer biting ass cold up there as it was down here in Maryland. So
Yes, today it's 41, so it feels like it's spring, which is really
see
nice.
that, see that, see that. And for me, pitchers and catchers report to spring training in less than 2 weeks, and that's the real indication that this crappy weather is about to end. So
Yep,
there you
well,
go. All right, Joe. Now you've been knocking around the business for a while. You were at what do I see? You were Allen Media, and then Media Math, and Mad Hive, and then you decided to jump into the lake by yourself and created Ribeye. So number one, why did you do that? And number two, what is it?
yeah, that's a great question. So the reason why we did this was we saw a need in the local market to bring new top tier technology into a market that I feel as though doesn't get as much attention and support and service as it needs and deserves. So that's why we saw a lot of point solutions. We saw a lot of outdated technology where people in the local market, they don't have as many options as they would like to have as the national marketplace does. So that's why we decided to get in there, dive in, and start to provide trade desk level tech and support to a market that's a lot smaller and a little bit more needy.
Okay, now when you say local market, we are still talking about connected TV and digital, or are we also talking about broadcast?
Connected TV and digital, but believe it or not, a lot of the groups we work with, if not most of them, are the broadcast groups. So we are working with the broadcast groups to help them adapt and adopt kind of new technology so they can continue to provide support and service to their clients across all media channels.
All right, we're going to get a minute into a new announcement that you have, but first of all, you have a product that related to your company name, a product that you call Cow. Would you please tell us what that is?
Yeah, in our space, there are tons of acronyms. There's
Yes,
DSP.
there certainly are.
Yeah, so we thought there should probably be another one. And we're kind of heavily pushing into this new category that's slowly emerging. Some people call them meta DSPs, but I believe that term is a bit misleading. So what we are is we are COWS. COWS stands for Consolidated Omnichannel Platform Workflow Solution. So what that means in layman's terms
Yeah.
is we are trying to bring all of the planning, buying, reporting, optimization, attribution of media into one screen. So the biggest challenge that exists today, which I'm sure you see in here, is just massive fragmentation, lots of tech vendors and partners and tools to support all of that fragmentation, like visualization platforms and things like that.
Yeah.
Our system is meant to bring all of it into one place. So somebody doesn't have to work in 5 or 10 different platforms and systems just to plan, buy, and report on a campaign.
Okay, cool. All right. Now, I absolutely agree with that because consolidation and simplification is important to everybody and mostly important to me because I don't understand anything. But all right. So now you've just announced a deal with a company by the name of Alliant. What in the world is that, and why is that important for you and for us?
Yeah, Alliant is a data company or a DMP. They also have clean room technology. So, why that's important for us is that the world of data can be a bit challenging, confusing, misleading at times. There are a lot of data providers out there, and making sure that data is clean and updated and you know exactly what data you're using, buying for your customers is important. So, we connected with Alliant to not only get access to their entire breadth of data for our clients, but also we now know exactly how that data is being captured, where it's coming from, how often it's being updated, and things like that. So that's kind of one big aspect for us that's important is that we're educating the market on data, where it comes from, how it's used, and the value of using that data, but then also we've built some unique tools with them for our clients, like a CRM matchback tool where people can actually see how many chairs that were bought in the store tied back to the media that ran one to one. So we developed that alongside Alliant for our clients.
Okay, so now when you're saying how many chairs were bought relative to the media that was bought, are we talking attribution here, which has a tendency to be the last ad that I saw before I went to go buy chairs, and that's kind of a wormy issue, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And that's why we look to solve this challenge for our clients was, yes, a lot of people will do that. Hey, this time I saw an ad and then I happen to be in a store that
Yep.
day or that night and they give you attribution or last touch or multi-touch or multi-fractional. There's lots of different versions. But what we did with them is we actually get the first party data from the end client. So let's
Okay.
say it's Joe's Chair Factory.
Yep.
I sold 10,000 chairs last month. Take my customer data, I push it to us. We upload it into a clean room, which is Alliant. They get rid of all the personally identifiable information, and it comes back to our system as data signals, device IDs, IP addresses, and then we take those and we match that to what we ran. So we know that Rick Howe, not Rick Cow, saw 3 ads in the last month, and Rick ultimately went and bought a chair. And so we can say that we helped to influence Rick to buy that chair, and then we optimize going forward with that data.
All right, so now that's interesting because I have characterized, the last touch thing, last click thing is I happened to see that ad before I put on my jacket and I left for the store. But in reality, it's a bit of a journey of information for me that's made me think I want that brand versus this brand. I want to go to that store versus this store. You are, let me see if I can put it into English. You are starting with me and what I did at the store. And you were then backing up with me and a whole lot of people like me. Okay.
Yep.
And then creating a map, it's more than that, of what influenced me, or at least what I saw, right? Whether it
Yep.
influenced me or not, you can't get into my head. Nobody can get into my head. But at least what I saw, what I was exposed to, leading me to go to the store and buy those chairs. Is that about right?
That's about right. Yep. So what we'll do is we'll look at everyone like Rick who ended up seeing the ads and buying chairs, and we'll say, where do they live? What is their demographic? What were they watching on what devices? All that jazz. And then from there, we can start to narrow down and say, hey, we realize that if we're running in local news on a television, in more affluent neighborhoods that we drive more people to buy these chairs. So let's go find more people in the mile radius around that store to influence them to go buy chairs. And let's stop serving ads to Rick because Rick's already bought his chair. He's set. He's not going to go buy 10 more chairs. So we're going to turn Rick off. So yeah, that's how it works.
Media salespeople must love you.
Mm, they're starting to. They're
Okay.
starting to.
So let's talk a little bit about what you do and why it's important to your clients and who your primary clients are.
Yep. So our primary clients today are large enterprise media sales organizations.
Okay.
I know that's a mouthful, but one of the biggest examples would be the broadcast TV station groups or the radio groups. So these are people that have been in market, boots on the ground for decades, selling to local businesses. Originally, they would sell their owned and operated. So if I'm, WTLC, I just made that up, on Long Island, I'm
Yep.
going to sell my radio station to the local businesses. That has morphed over time to where now these groups are selling their owned and operated, but they're all selling search and social and email marketing and all other media channels.
And streaming of their local news and everything, which is the real moneymaker for them.
Exactly. And all of the properties outside of their own too. So they'll sell a competitor's supply to kind of take a bigger share of wallet from those advertisers. And there's value in those advertisers running all of their media with these groups as opposed to breaking it up to 50 different groups. So as that has occurred, they need technology like ours to bring it all and make it easy for them to be able to go and sell to the local auto dealer or the local pizza shop instead of saying to the local auto dealer, hey, I can transact on all your media. And then they go behind the scenes and they have 25 people buying it in 25 systems. Now they go back and they open up our platform and they can plan it right in front of the client with all the media right there and show them, here's how many people are fitting in your target audience in your geographic region. If we make these changes, here's the impact to your total avails that you could reach and spend, your budget, things like that. So that's why we exist. We want to continue to provide these sales teams with more tools to help them be smarter, move faster, and have less of the swivel chair or switching between screens and platforms, because that creates bandwidth issues, bottlenecks, challenges with delivery and performance and things like that. So that's our goal.
All right, so now I've got some friends down the street from me in Baltimore at a company by the name of Sinclair.
Yeah,
And they have obviously gazillions of stations in local markets, and everybody, the salespeople are out there working. But then they take some of that inventory and they bring it into a national sales organization where they can say to Pepsi, I can get you this, and that in all of these markets. And, they're in front of an enormous number of homes,
right.
and in spite of the fact that broadcast TV is strained as everything else is, broadcast news is incredibly valuable because those news people are members of the family. So now when you're working with those guys, are you working with the national, I want to say consolidators, and that's the wrong word. Are you working with the national folks who are getting you into multi-market? That's a better word. Or are you working, city by city by city by city?
It depends on the group. So sometimes it's both. Sometimes it's just the local side.
Okay.
Um, Generally, on the national side, they need less supply access points than the local side. The local side, really, they're like a Swiss Army knife. It's amazing. On the national side, there's still a lot of supply availability, so they don't need what's called reach extension as much.
Right.
Uh, Also, in the national market, it behaves very different than the local market, with a lot of the big holding companies owning the media dollars. And at that level, they have massive teams in all these platforms. And to disrupt that model is very, very challenging. So, really, I'd say most of the time it's those local markets, boots on the ground, each station, each market. But we do sometimes get access to both.
You know, everything you are doing sounds exactly right for what the industry needs,
Thank you.
especially given that on the local market side, and this is everybody, the broadcasters, but also the streamers. The hell, when LG wants to get into Baltimore, they got to think Baltimore. They can't think US. And so they need to narrow down and get inside that. Um, I think you're going to be pretty busy, bud.
We are very busy right now, which is great. We came out of stealth mode about 6 months ago, and ever since then, we've kind of like slowly been growing. But this first quarter, we're starting to get a lot more interest, people reaching out, wanting to learn more, starting to test and learn with us. So I think we're going to be very busy. That's exciting. Busy is good for business. It's good for fun, entertainment. It keeps you excited to come to work every day. So we want to be busy.
Cool, man. All right. Well, listen, we are out of time, but Joe Marino from Ribeye, thank you, man. I really appreciate your sitting down with us today.
Thank you, Rick. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me.
Okay. Bye bye.
Bye.